just give everyone a second to click through that. Um, Today, Kelly and I are going to give a short presentation with some slides. They'll be available in the recording, and we'll be posting that on our website. And then our real goal is to get through the slides and then to be able to answer your questions. And if some of you have already been working on your portfolios, then we can try and answer very specific questions as well as we go. Sometimes when one person shares their issues that they're having, it really helps for other people to see that so that everybody gets educated on how to solve those problems at the same time. So first, let me start with introductions. My name is Mark Carrier. I'm the Executive Director of Faculty Affairs and Records here at Cal State Fullerton. I'm also a professor of psychology. And I'm going to introduce Kelly. Kelly, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, Kelly Marconi. I'm here in FAR. I do all the interfolio stuff for the evaluations.
Thanks, Kelly. Kelly is the Retention, Tenure, and Promotion Analyst. That's the official title. But Kelly is basically our interfolio expert and also handles the Faculty Affairs and Records email. Some of you may have exchanged emails with Kelly and not realized it on there. So let me start the slides. And as I said, I plan to go through these fairly quickly. If they raise questions for you, it would be helpful if you just kind of hang on, maybe jot those down, and then we can answer them at the end. So let me share. Okay. So we're going to be going through several different topics today. These should be relevant to everyone. First, I'm going to introduce the Interfolio API. I'll explain what that is when I get there. We're going to talk about changes that have happened in the evaluation process. Most of this is due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We're going to talk about the different types of evaluations. We're going to give some background information about the evaluation process so you can see what the procedures will be and the steps. We're going to give you some of our tips for assembling your working personnel action file. That's what WPAF stands for. Everyone going through evaluation has to put one of those together. And then we're going to talk about a few things on our website. We do have a lot of resources on our website, and we'll try and show you that too at the end if we have time. We'll talk a little bit about using the software that you'll be using for the evaluations. This is where Interfolio is the name of it, and that's where you'll be assembling your materials, and the reviewers will also be using that software to conduct their evaluations. We'll give you some tips on using Interfolio, and we'll try and help you. We'll try and do some demo on Interfolio as much as possible, but really we want to focus on your specific questions and your specific needs. So first off, let me talk about a few things that you may not be familiar with. If this is, the first time that you've done an evaluation recently, WPAF stands for Working Personnel Action File, and that's really the collection of materials that you'll be putting together as part of your evaluation. We put those together in what we call cases, and the case is really in Interfolio in the software. We also call it a review packet, and that packet is your assembly, your specific assembly of materials. After you upload it, that case or the packet will move from reviewer to reviewer, and each level will provide an evaluation, but I'll get to that. I already said that. And then the review packet or the case is divided up into specific groups of documents. There's about 12 different categories of documents for a complete case. And if you're going up for range elevation, which some of you may be, then there's an additional category. The instructions for each category are laid out in a specific campus policy, but I'll also point you to some resources to get more details on that. So let me start with the Interfolio API, which is, you don't really need to know that it's called API, but what this is a tool that we provide for you that will automatically upload some data for you. So it was developed by us in conjunction with the IT department. And the goal of the tool is to automatically import your grade distribution data and your course evaluation or SOQ data, and it'll just appear in your Interfolio case. And really, the goal is to try and reduce how much information you have to upload. And it's run by the IT department when we ask them to create new cases in Interfolio. So if you received an email from Interfolio that said you had a case available, it's very likely that if you go to that case, you'll see that these data are already uploaded there. It's not run at other times. So if you have a case and those data aren't there, then we won't be able to run the API. It can only be run when the case is created. And for range elevation, we don't always run it for that either. Now, the API, it is coded by some people in IT and at our request, but because it involves handling documents and specific names and things, sometimes there are mistakes and sometimes it doesn't upload the complete data. So it's very important that you review the data that are uploaded, like to make sure that all your course evaluation data are there for every term that you are under review for. So you have to check all the data to make sure that it's been imported. If there's anything missing, you need to upload that to grab those reports and include those. It also comes with some set names, and you may not like the names of the files, and you're totally welcome to change the names and to rearrange the order. The order of the files sometimes is not in chronological order, and that's just due to the way the system works. So you will have to double check that the order of the files is in the order that you want. So because of the COVID-19 crisis, everything that we do for evaluations for lectures is now done on Interfolio, so completely electronically. That started in the 2020-2021 academic year, and this will be continuing. For this particular review cycle, your deadline for your packet is February 21st, and that's by the end of the business day, so that's 5 p.m. that your packet is due. So please plan to have everything ready to go by 5 p.m. on that day. Now, there's something called the rebuttal period where you will have a chance to give a response to the evaluations that are done. And those rebuttal periods will also be conducted through Interfolio. In fact, everything will be conducted through Interfolio. There's a checklist inside your case, and in the checklist, you will have to acknowledge that you've uploaded all the materials that you're required to upload, and that's the signal to your department chair or your department head that the case is ready for review. You shouldn't be surprised if your department head or department chair reaches out to you and says, you know, well, I think there's something missing. They can certainly do that. They can work with you to try and make sure that your case is complete if they notice something missing. Due to COVID, there's one semester's worth of course evaluation data and course data that you're allowed to exclude. So this will really be relevant for people who are up for a 6-year comprehensive review or for a range elevation. That spring 2020 semester, you can opt out of providing those data because if you were teaching during that time, you know that there was tremendous upheaval. Everybody had to pivot to online teaching all of a sudden, and the students went through chaos during that semester. So we have a form that you can use, and you basically just place that form in your case, and it signals to the reviewers that you don't want to provide those data. So there's a link that when you get this, we will post the slides on our website, and when you get the slides, you'll be able to click on these links and they'll be workable. So let's go through quickly the different kinds of evaluations. So many of you will be going through an annual periodic, which is just the standard kind of normal evaluation. At Fullerton, everybody's required to be reviewed almost every year. There's a couple of exceptions to that. Some of you are going to be reviewed as part of your 3-year contract. And normally in that 3-year contract, you're being reviewed in the last year. And if the goal there is to get a satisfactory review so you can get the 3-year contract reissued for coming terms. Some of you will be undergoing a 6-year comprehensive. So that's after you've completed 6 years of teaching at the university. You undergo this one. This is literally what it says. You're going to have all of your data from that time period evaluated by the reviewers. And if you get the satisfactory outcome, then you will be issued a 3-year contract going forward. So in total, this is all determined by how long you've been working here, what kind of contract you've recently signed that you're teaching this year. Your college dean's offices have provided that information to us and told us which level of evaluation or type of evaluation you have. So if you are not sure or if you're stuck or confused, your college dean's office is the best place to double check with. So for each of those different types of evaluations have what we call different periods of review. And this just defines the time span over which you should be providing evidence in your WPATH. So there's different volumes of documentation. So let me go through here. Annual periodic. For some people, this will be your first evaluation since you've been hired. So if that's your first evaluation since you've been hired, then you're only going to have 1 semester's worth of material to provide. And that's just normal. If you are doing an annual periodic review and you've been teaching here longer than that first semester, then your review will cover the 2 semesters worth of data. So 1 academic year in total of evidence. Now, I'm going to go through this slide quickly, but we do have all this on our website too. So you can go check it out there. If you're doing a 3-year periodic evaluation, then that amounts to 2.5 academic years or 5 semesters worth of material. If you're up for a 6-year comprehensive evaluation, then you're doing 5.5 academic years or 11 semesters worth of material. So there you can see it really is comprehensive. You'll only have to do the 6-year comprehensive evaluation once in each department that you're teaching for. As I said, these are on our website. Okay, so this table shows us who's going to be reviewing your cases. And I'll use the cursor here to try and highlight, direct your attention. It's split into 2 types of lectures. Some of you are full-time lecturers and some of you are teaching less than full-time, or what we call part-time lecturers. And for the full-time lecturers, no matter what type of evaluation you're up for, you're going to be reviewed by your department personnel review committee, which is your departmental group of faculty reviewing you. You're going to be evaluated by your department chair, and you're going to be evaluated by your college dean. That's just standard for all full-time lecturers. As I said before, you'll get a chance to rebut at each of these review levels. After you get your evaluation, there'll be a 10-day window that allows you to file a rebuttal. If you are teaching less than full-time, then the only difference is for those of you who are undergoing an annual periodic review. If that's what you're up for, then you don't have a dean's review level. You just have the department review committee and the chair review. So there's 1 less level. So in more detail, I know these letters might be a little hard to see on the right, but I'll just kind of say it as I go through here, and then you'll get the slides too. By on February 21, you'll need to have submitted your materials. The department chair or unit head will review the materials and confirm that your file is complete. That's where I said you might, in some cases, get a message from your department chair. So please pay attention to your email around that time saying, well, you look like you're missing this or you're missing that. After the file is declared complete, then your department review committee and your chair will get access to the file, and they'll be reviewing that. And then after they're finished, then you'll have the review step by the dean. There's rebuttal periods after each evaluation, as I've already stated a few times. After the rebuttal period, after the dean's review finishes, then the case will be done. It'll be forwarded to our office, and we'll process it. And what that means is we make sure everything's there. We take notes. We summarize the results of the review. We make it official. And then we kind of close out what we call close out the case. We archive all your data, and we make the results part of your personnel file. So that's the whole process. It starts on February 21, and it's going to last, as you can see, it's going to take a little while, so you have to be patient during this process and pay attention to your emails, especially so you know when your evaluations are ready and when you can do a rebuttal if you desire. Rebuttals are not required. It's totally up to you if you want to do a rebuttal. If you decide to do a rebuttal, as I said before, it's completely done in the system in Interfolio. Once your evaluation is ready, you'll get an email to your official Fullerton account. That's important. It's all going to come to your fullerton.edu email account. So you'll need to be checking that. You'll get an email from this email address, noreply@interfolio.com. So it's kind of a silly address, but that's what Interfolio uses to notify you that your evaluation is ready. It'll say that your file has been shared with you. You can go and take a look at it. You can click on the link in the email, and then you can decide what you want to do. So you read the documents. Then if you decide you want to make a rebuttal, you can use a form that we've created called the lecture rebuttal form, and you can respond to the evaluation. So the response is totally up to you. FAR cannot give you guidance on what to say or how to rebut, but we can tell you, the technical details of how to file the rebuttal, the form to use, what to put in the certain different spots, and so on. But it's really you're going to have to decide if you think you need to rebut. And you can also request a meeting with the reviewers, with the review committee, and that's on the form. There's a box on there where you'll check and you say you want a meeting, and then they'll meet with you. And at that meeting, you can ask questions to clarify about the evaluation. That meeting is not a chance for you to change the reviewers' minds. Once they filed their evaluations, they're final. But you can use the meeting to find out how they came to their conclusions. Those are the kinds of questions you can ask. You'll be uploading the lecture rebuttal to Interfolio, and you'll see that there's a place in your case to do that. We have tutorials for almost all these steps. And this is in the slide here, there's a link to a tutorial. At the end, I'm going to show you where the tutorial is on our website. And it's a pretty good, it goes through and it shows you pretty much all the steps in creating your cases, accessing Interfolio, and then going through the process all the way to the end. So we want you to use that as a resource. It's very important that if you're going to respond or rebut an evaluation, that you do it within the 10 calendar days after you receive that message from Interfolio. That's a hard deadline. So once the 10 calendar days are up, then you will lose the opportunity to rebut the evaluation. It'll just automatically move on in the evaluation cycle. You won't get a reminder from us that the deadline is coming. The system doesn't provide a reminder, so it's really important that you mark that on your calendar if you are thinking about doing an evaluation, that you do it within that time period. Notice it says 10 calendar days, so that includes the weekends. So it's not 10 business days, so you got to pay attention to that too. Okay. One of the first things you'll be doing when you access your case is you'll be uploading materials. So we call that assembling your WPATH. The WPATH can take a while to put together, especially if you're one of those lecturers who is going to be evaluated for the 3 of 3 evaluation or the 6-year comprehensive or a range elevation. You have the range elevation, you usually will be putting at least 5 years worth of data in. So you need to start early. So it's already February 7, so I would say, if you haven't looked at your case yet after this presentation, as soon as you can, go and log into Interfolio, check out your case, look at the different categories and the different sections so you can get familiar with that. This is basically saying the same thing. One of the problems that happens because Interfolio is run through the internet and it's cloud-based is that as we get closer to the deadline of February 21, there's going to be more and more people using it. Just our campus alone will have over 600 evaluations all happening at the same time, all due on the same date. And that's just one campus out of the hundreds of campuses across the country that use Interfolio. So it's very important that you think about that and plan ahead. As I've already said several times, you want to make sure you check your fullerton.edu email regularly, especially as we get close to that deadline, in case your chair is wanting to notify you and ask you some questions. If you want some kind of like advice on the substance of what you put in there, our office tries not to give advice on the substance because we don't feel like we're experts in your area or in your teaching or whatever. We really encourage you to talk to someone in your department that you teach in about, what would make a good file, what would be some high quality evidence. If you were deciding, should I include this or not include that? That's really a discussion you would have with your colleagues in your department. Hopefully you have already got to know a few other lecturers in your particular program. And if you happen to know some who've been through this a few times, they might have some good tips for you. Also, I'll point out that the Faculty Development Center on campus also provides workshops for lecturers where they can give you advice about what to put in your case because it's faculty to faculty. And on our FAR website on the events page where we have those FDC open labs noted on there. So you can go there and just ask, what would be best for me to do? And they'll give you what they think is their advice. And as I've already said, at Fullerton, most people are getting evaluated every year, an annual periodic review. If you are in a 3-year appointment, you get to skip the years 1 and 2, so you get a little bit of a break, and you only get evaluated every 3 years. It is also possible that your dean will request a special review in case there's concerns, or you can even request a special review if you want to get feedback on something. So those can also happen as well. As I've already said, you need to go and take a look at Interfolio in your case and kind of poke around and see what's in there. Everything that we've created in Interfolio is based on university policy. There's a very specific policy called UPS 210070, which is on the Academic Senate website. We also have links to it on our website. And there it contains the 12 categories and describes what's in each. So Faculty Affairs and Records did not create the categories. Those were created by your Academic Senate, so the faculty as a whole. It's recommended for your reviewers that you arrange your documents in reverse chronological order. So that means newest on top and oldest on bottom. This is what the reviewers feel is the easiest way for them to take a look at your case. Some of you may have specific standards from your departments. They're called department standards for lecture faculty. And hopefully your department made you aware of those. If not, we have a link on our website that has all the standards, so you can check that out and see if your department has special standards. Here's a good tip, that there's something you have to provide called a table of contents, which is essentially a list of all the documents that you're including. It's really good to do that one last, because you want to wait and see everything that you decide to include in your file and then construct your table of contents. If you kind of do it as you go, then you would be always updating your table of contents constantly. So our suggestion is just do it at the end. If you need to look at your SOQ data or your grade distribution data, that's contained in the Faculty Student Success Dashboard, which is in the CSUF portal. So you log into the faculty portal, and then you can type FSSD in the search box, and then you can get access to all your course evaluation and course grade distribution reports. And as I said, we have tutorials on all these steps that are available on our website. And when you get the slides, these links will be accessible, but I'll also show you at the end where the tutorial starts. Yeah, I know I'm giving you a lot, so I wanted to get through here, and then we'll get to the questions. So jot down those questions. Okay, here's our main website, www.fullerton.edu/FAR, F-A-R. We try and put everything you would need to know on here. And I'll show you that again later.
I put a link to our website in the chat as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. So check out the chat, and there's a link if you just want to click on it or load it into your browser address bar. We have pages that are designed for each type of faculty. So there's a web page for part-time faculty, and there's a web page for full-time faculty. And we try and organize all the resources around those two types. Some of you may need to add blank course evaluation forms, and we have an SOQ page that has that. And we also have, as I said, the list of all the departmental standards. Most departments don't have standards, so most of you won't have that, but you do need to check, or you can email me and ask me, and I can help you with that. This is something new. So I know that was a lot that I gave you. So we created something new. Hopefully it'll help you. We're calling them files organizers. And the files organizers are basically a folder with a bunch of subfolders that you can put on your machine, and it'll help you organize all of your evidence. And then once you decide you want to upload to Interfolio, then everything's already grouped into the right categories, and you can just go through each of the subfolders and upload them in groups that way. So there's links here. They're also on our webpage on the two websites on the pages I mentioned for part-time and full-time faculty. And basically each one is a zip file. So you click on it, it'll download to your machine. Then you unzip it, and most of you can unzip it just by double clicking on it, and then it'll unzip it. And then it'll basically create this set of folders. Within the folders, there's also instructions for what you need to include in each type of review. And then within each subfolder, there's instructions for what goes in that subfolder. So we tried to put a lot of information in there. And we also have within this something we call the quick steps or a quick start guide, which is a one-page set of steps for you to take to get the review going. So it's really like a one-page condensed version of everything that we've been talking about right now today. So that's all in there. I highly recommend that you try and grab one of those. If you get stuck on these, you can always email us, and we can try and unstick you. It won't put these into Interfolio. You will still have to upload them, but it'll make it a lot easier because you'll already have pre-grouped them into the right groupings and to know where they go within Interfolio. So let me talk briefly about Interfolio. As I said, it's something that the campus will be using going forward, and it's been using since the COVID crisis. It's a third-party vendor, so Fullerton didn't create it, and they support us. It's used by many campuses across the country, large and small. So it's a very common, it's probably the most common third-party version of faculty evaluation software. Just to we use for evaluation something called RPT, or Review, Promotion, and Tenure. That's everything I've been discussing so far. You also have something called Dossier, which the university has purchased for all faculty. And when you go into Interfolio, you should be able to maneuver to Dossier. And Dossier is a place where you can store lots of materials in any way you want. And theoretically, this moves from campus to campus, so you'll always have access to Dossier. And even if you stop teaching at Fullerton, you would still have the files in Dossier. I'm already saying some of these things. A dossier is really for your personal collection of materials that you can use for your own use. It's not integrated with the evaluation system we use, so that's why we provide the files organizers. As I already said, we already have the relevant tutorials on the website. We have a tutorial on how to log in, and again, soon I'll be showing you where those are on our website. Interfolio is an awesome piece of software, but I'm not going to lie, people do get stuck using it, especially if it's your first time. We try and help out as much as we can, but there's only a small number of us. So you always can contact the Interfolio help desk. When you log into Interfolio, there will be information there about how to contact the help desk. But here's the information in the slide too. It's very simple, help@interfolio.com. In my personal experience, they respond within the same day that I email them. But keep in mind that Interfolio is based on the East Coast, and so their hours are shifted. So by 2 p.m., they're closed. So if you're going to email them, definitely email them earlier in the day if you can.
They also
Go
are
ahead.
very good at the phone. Like they have good customer service on the phone as
Excellent.
well.
Yeah. As I've been saying already, we have tutorials available. The tutorials are linked on almost every page of our website, so they're easy to find. It's always best to use an up-to-date browser. If your browser's been telling you it needs to be upgraded, then please upgrade it before you start working with Interfolio. Interfolio is designed to work with the current browser. Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge don't work, so you're going to have another browser going in order to use Interfolio effectively. I've already said to organize all of your documents before uploading, and that's what the files organizer is designed to help you do. And as a repeat, create your table of contents at the end. That's very helpful. You're going to be naming your documents when you upload them. So remember that the reviewers will have to find the evidence based on the names and where you tell them they're located. So use a clear and logical naming convention. I think that's one of those things that if you go to one of the FDC Open Labs, they could make suggestions. Some people number their documents so that they just refer to a number 1 through 50 or whatever, and that makes it easy for the reviewers. But in theory, you can create any sort of naming convention you want. Just think ahead about what the reviewers are going to do, how they're going to find those documents. When you're working in Interfolio, you can make mistakes, you can move things around, you can put things in the wrong section, you can always fix it. Nothing's final until you submit your packet, and there's a very specific way you submit your packet. So it's really a place for you to move things around. Maybe if you want to try out where something works best or how to name things, you can do that. And no one will see it except you until you formally submit it to your department chair. Uploading can be slow. And so we suggest that you upload documents in small batches. Say you have 20 SOQ, well, hopefully your SOQ reports will already be there. But if you have to upload them by yourself, then do them in small batches. Just otherwise people get frustrated waiting for the system. You can also move them around, and people say that rearranging them is easier if they're done in small batches. you'll see that you can open everything gets converted to a PDF when you upload it. So even if you upload it as a Microsoft Word document, it's going to appear in Interfolio as a PDF. And there's a built-in tool for viewing PDFs that allows you to highlight, add notes, or tag things in the within Interfolio. But also you can do that on it in Adobe before you upload things, and try to avoid that. That can it can change the format when you upload it. It can be confusing to reviewers. It can be hard to read the documents in the PDF viewer in the in Interfolio. So as much as possible, don't do that. If you have something to say or to draw attention to in one of your documents, that's really what you do in your narrative. You're going to have a chance to write, draw people's attention to it in your written narrative. And then before you do your final submission, make sure all of your documents are readable. The last thing we want for you is that you put a lot of effort into uploading things and then your reviewers can't open a document. So you can go into your case and you can make sure that it's viewable within Interfolio. And it's just a nice one of your final steps that you would go through and just click on each document and make sure that it can open and it's readable. Okay, so I wrote Interfolio demonstration. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by showing you where the tutorials are on our website and just showing you kind of some of what's information that's available there. And then we're going to open it up for your questions and to help you with individual situations. This is just to get into Interfolio. If you haven't done it yet, you can always click on the link that you got, the email you got from Interfolio, but you can also do it through your Fullerton faculty portal. You can type in account.interfolio.com/login, and you can just go directly to the website from the company, or this is clicking on the email that you received. So there's 3 ways to get into Interfolio. And if you get stuck again, that's something you can email us on or look at the tutorial. So before I go to the tutorial, this is our office staff. I already told you who I am. You already met Kelly. We have a couple of other people. Rose is responsible mostly for records. So if you have questions about records, Rose is the person to contact. And Nicole is our SOQ specialist. So if you have questions about SOQs, she's the person to contact. Okay, so let me get out of this and I'll get to your questions in a second. Let me show you briefly where the tutorials are. Okay, I'm here now on our website. I'm on a page, part-time lecture evaluations. I know some of you may be full-time lecturers, but most of the material is the same. And at each of these pages, we have a brief introduction on I know its type is small, but I'm going to direct your attention to something else. We have some of the same information I've already reviewed with you, prep tips. We have separate blocks for the different types of evaluations, and it really gives you the high-level overview of everything that I talked about. And then at the bottom, we have a section called Faculty Resources and Documents. We have links to some of the documents. So we have, for example, we have a link to the university policy that governs the faculty evaluations. The second link is departmental standards for lecture faculty. So you can go here and see if your department has special standards. And then we have templates and forms. So we have your table of contents, a blank table of contents form for you to use that you would fill in, your rebuttal response form, and some other things. If you're faculty in the library or in the CAPS, then we have special forms for you. And then we have a whole block here called Interfolio Tutorials. Let me zoom in a bit. Whoops. Hold on. Okay.
So Mark,
Yeah.
so some of the links for whatever reason are not working in Interfolio. So this is where you would go to get the table of contents and anything else, because for whatever reason the links in Interfolio are not working.
Okay, so that's thanks, Kelly. Yeah, so if you I'm guessing it's because we recently switched to a new website. And so some of the links in the Interfolio, much of what was set up in there was prior to that. So we're still trying to resolve some of the dead links, but you can always come here to the website and get what you're looking for. So we have this block called tutorials, and I'm going to click on something that says lecturer candidate guide, the very top link in the tutorials. And this brings you to our guide, and our guide tries to go through all the steps that you would be going through to complete your packet and to be evaluated. So it has some background information. It tells you the different ways to log into Interfolio. Is there any chance you could put this in the chat, Kelly, the link to this tutorial? Okay, thanks. It tells you how to find your particular case or your review packet. It tells you how to add material, so it gets very detailed. I'll click into one of these in a second, and then I'll open it up for questions. It tells you how to move documents around. It tells you how to formally submit your packet. Remember, you're not done until you say to your department chair or department head, "I'm done." There's a specific way to do that. It tells you how you can file a rebuttal. And then we have a little section on that other software I told you about, Dossier. So let me click into one of these real fast, and I just want to show you basically. So this one is for people who haven't done it before, adding material to a review packet. And I'm not going to go through how to do it because you can read it, but I just want you to show you what's in here. We have screenshots of what the screen will look like. We have instructions, steps of what to go through. There's a lot of detail within the tutorial. So, if you're working on this on the weekend or after 5 p.m. when our office is closed, then definitely you should go to the tutorial, find the section that you're stuck on, and see if these detailed steps will help you. We've tried to put pretty much everything here. There's issues about, say you need to upload a video. We have instructions about how you would do that and some limitations on the video size and so on. So pretty much each tutorial looks like this. And it goes in order of what you would be doing to assemble your portfolio and go through the steps. Okay, I talked a lot. So let's get to you all. If you want to ask a question, I guess we can do it by raising hands, and I'll call on you. Or you tell me, Kelly, if you see someone who's asking a question. Okay, let's start with Michael Ray.
Yes, well, first of all, thank you all for putting together this presentation. Very much appreciated. And my question was just, I believe for some things, I'm doing a range elevation, but some things aren't applicable. Like for me, I think it's the narrative supplemental in like university service. So if it says it's not required, I could just ignore that.
If you're asking, I would say yes, you can ignore it. What I've heard some faculty recommend is that you, instead of just leaving a blank, like if there's a section for that, or you could even put a file saying that just has a title, a blank file that just says not applicable.
Okay.
Or something like that, but it's not required that you do that. It should be clear from your other materials that you weren't assigned to do any service, so you wouldn't be evaluated on that.
Okay, and then just one quick follow-up question. Since I'm doing a range elevation and I have to do that extra category development as a lecturer, do you happen to know, is there a word limit on that, as there is on the narrative summary?
Let me just take a look real fast. I don't want to give you the wrong answer from the top of my head. So give me a minute. Give me a second here. I'm just going to look in the policy and see what it says.
Okay. I guess that's okay if it's not easy to find. I'm sure it'll probably
I'll tell you what, can you just email it to me right now and I'll look it up afterward and I'll give you the answer.
sounds good. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, Samantha.
Yes, hi, thank you. I did want the answer to Michael's question as well. I
Okay.
have range elevation and my 3-year review.
Okay. All right, let me do this instead. What I'll do is I'm gonna write down your names and I'll look it up and I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, I have a course that is cross-listed. I don't have to submit information for both departments, correct?
Well, yeah, you're being evaluated only on the
The main
data,
course.
the evidence for that department that you're being evaluated in.
Okay, and so then for the SOQ information and the grade distributions, I do not put that for the secondary department.
Right, just put it for the department that's listed at the top of your case that you're being reviewed for.
Okay, even though it was automatically uploaded for, for the SOQs for the secondary department, just delete those then?
Yeah, I think that you could do that. That would be fine.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mhm. All right, Megan.
Yes, I was just wondering, some of them give like little short descriptions of what they're looking for, and some of the like the narrative part and the assignments and like duties part. Um, but they're not 100% clear on what they want or what they're looking for. Does the tutorial explain that in deeper detail, or can you ask, is there somebody you can ask specifically what they're looking for in that section?
Well, the tutorial does not give more detail in what goes in each of those sections. The policy is what we provide to you. The descriptions are basically from the policy.
Okay.
And so they're, we try not to add on to that. We try just to stick what's in the policy. I would say that, as long as you feel like it's what you want to say is captured in that description, then that's fine to include it. I would say if there's something that you're confused about or a gray area, then I would recommend attending one of the FDC open labs. And there, because like I said before, those are faculty to faculty meetings, and they will give you based on their interpretation or what they've seen work in the past. They'll be able to tell you. But having said all that, Megan, honestly, there's nothing stopping you from including what you want to include.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you don't write this or don't write that. You put in what you think makes your best possible case, and the evaluators will decide whether that's relevant or not.
I got you, because some of these I'm like going, what is it specifically that you're looking for? But it looks like for the summary, they're just looking like for a summary or a page description of what you've done as a professor for the campus so far.
For the summary of assigned duties,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really just a list.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Charles?
Yes, sir. I had a question about the classroom observation. When does that get done, or if there's one?
Well, usually, you work that out with your departmental personnel committee. And so, different departments have different requirements on that. Some departments don't require them at all. And some departments require them to be done regularly.
Okay.
So I would say if you want to quickly know, I would email your department chair and say, do I need to do a course observation, and how do I arrange that? and each
Alright.
department has its own procedures. You can also look on the departmental personnel standards for lecture faculty for your department if they have it, and it should describe it in there if they have it.
Okay.
Now, but you
Alright.
you can always request a review, an observation if you want feedback. You just have to ask your department head how you would do that.
All right. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I don't have a first name, but I see A. Gorski.
Hi, Mark. I hope you can hear me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm Al Gorski. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I am up for a range elevation, but I had my 3-year review done just 12 months ago.
Okay.
I put everything into Interfolio for 3 years. Can I reuse that? Or do I have to start completely from scratch?
You can reuse. You of course you're going to want to update,
Sure.
right, based on more recent information, which is required anyways. And then, but when you build your case, when you upload information files, there's an option in the dialog box that pops up where you can pull over data from other reviews that you had.
Okay,
So
good.
yeah, and I think that's in our tutorial. Let me, if I showed you the section where you could uploading files and
Yes.
assembling. If you look through there, I'm pretty sure it shows you how to pull in information from prior reviews.
Okay, because
Yeah.
the review period, the 3-year review period was 20 through 23, spring of 20 through 23.
Mhm.
But now I'm being asked for going back even further to 19 for some strange reason.
Yeah.
So I don't
Range
know if that
elevation,
was, I don't know if that was in Interfolio or not. So I may have to create those. Is that what you're saying?
right.
Okay.
If like if you need 2019 data and it wasn't done in Interfolio, you're going to have to upload that.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, I see it's either Ron Imus or R. Onimus.
Ron Imus, that's correct.
Okay, hi, Ron.
Hi. Yeah, my question is similar. I'm up for range elevation, and I also received an email to do a lecturer evaluation. Do I submit those both and separately, even though most of the material is the same, except for that one main section about development?
Unfortunately, yes. They have to be separate cases. Uh-oh, I see Al. They have to be separate cases. Now, but you know, so if you use our files organizer, or if you create your own way of organizing your files on your local system or your Dropbox or whatever, you know, you're just going to be doing 2 uploads of the same material to different Interfolio cases. So, but yes, luckily, the Academic Senate is just tomorrow. They're going to try and pass a new version of the policy going forward that allows range elevations to be tacked on to another evaluation. So it's just one file, but unfortunately for all of you, they're 2 separate files right now.
That just feels cruel. You just dangled that in front of us.
I was trying to give you hope, but or the other people hope for you. If you're going up for now for range elevation, it'll be a while before you get another one. But yeah.
All right. No, thank you. I appreciate your answer. Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay, James.
Hi, Mark. I had a question here. I put it in the chat, but I'm going to read it. It says, can you explain in the narrative summary, we must report frequency distribution, percentage of A plus B responses in the CRQs from all courses under review. SOQ.
Where are you getting that from?
I'm not sure. I found it in one of the emails or something. It just had that phrase. I wasn't sure what that meant.
Well, okay, well, the policy doesn't require that.
Oh, it's under the let's see, my
It could be your
department's
department standards.
Yeah, it's under the instructions for lecture review.
Okay, let me see.
the
What
art
department are you in?
The art department.
Art. Okay. Let me take a quick peek at that.
Yeah, it's under the narrative summary on number 5.
Okay. So, or maybe I'll share my screen so everybody can see. Let me do that.
Sure.
Okay, I'm on the page called Approved Department Standards for Lecture Faculty, so you'll all want to be checking this if you haven't done it yet. And on this page, you choose your college and then your program. So I'm going to go to College of the Arts. And so yes, most of you won't have anything listed here, but some of you will. There's about 20 departments that have this. So for visual arts or art, click on that, and then it will bring up specific standards for that department that are to be followed when you assemble your files. So let me zoom in here.
Where do we, can you repeat where we find this, please?
Oh yeah, let me show you. Go back. Under evaluations on the main pull down for evaluations, there's something that says Department Standards for Lecture Faculty. Got that?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So let me go back. Let me zoom in. Okay, so the standards for yours may look different. Every department formats them in their own special way. And then it gives more detail on what they expect you to put into your reviews. So let's see here. I'm kind of, here we go. So for this department, the narrative summary, it has a requirement, lectures. In the narrative summary, the lecturer shall report frequency distributions and SOQs across all classes taught during the period under review. So percent of A and B. So when you look at your SOQ summary reports, it should put the responses that you get in each of the different categories or types of response. So A and B are the two highest positive response categories. So you just simply have to add those two numbers together. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's,
So they just want to know how many people gave you, or what proportion of your class or percent of your class gave you the two highest levels.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then you have to do that across all the classes taught during that period. So that's just extra requirement for your particular department.
Okay. Is that under the it says number 9, the statistical summaries of grade distribution?
Yes, you'll pull the data
sorry.
from those.
Okay.
This is something you're going to have to calculate on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll start with the data from that section.
Okay.
And I would say if you get stuck on this, I think this is our office typically doesn't provide support for these kinds of things because we don't want to steer you wrong. So it's important that you reach out to someone in your department who knows how these things have been calculated in the past. Some departments will even have a spreadsheet that allows you to plug in numbers and calculate for you. So you want to check with your department head if that's available.
So you add A.
Okay.
plus
Mm-hmm.
So
oh yeah, because I've got a thing here that says A plus to B minus, and there's all these different numbers in there. So just was
well, that sounds like grades.
Yeah, those are all the grades. I'm just trying to think of like, yeah.
If
So
you look
would
at
just
you look at your SO, this is not grades.
Okay.
This is responses like to the ratings on your course evaluation form.
Oh, okay.
There's different levels of response. You know, the highest level is A, like the most positive response from the students. B is the next level. So it's not. It's definitely not grades. This is your instead of your grade distribution, you're going to look at the SOQ report.
Okay, now I'm looking at that, and yeah, I see it. It says A through E, and I've got 25 and different percentages.
Right. So add up the two percentages for those A and B.
Okay.
That's what you'll report.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Al.
The original email had a link, and it is no longer live link anymore. Can you send me another?
What was
email
it, a
so
link?
that it
What was-
was for me to acknowledge that I'm actually
Yeah,
going to
that
do
link
this.
expires. So you can't get another link, but you can go in through your portal
Okay.
or directly to Interfolio.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
I think it has a 30-day
It's a 30-day, yeah.
30-day time period. That's from the company Interfolio. That's not from us.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay, Ju.
Hey, thank you for this session. Can you explain a little bit about number 11, the evidence of currency in the field?
Yeah, I'll do what I can. Let me bring up that so everybody can see that in the policy. Give me a second to get it on my screen.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay, let me share. Okay, so let me make it a little bit bigger. Here. Okay, number 11, evidence of currency in the field. So the best thing to do for this is to just take it literally, what it says here. So look at the examples. Professional achievement or activities. What professional activities have you participated in during this review period that shows that you're current in your discipline or in your profession, if that's related to why you're teaching in that program?
So is it type of, sorry, is it type of narrative summary, or it's
No, these
like
would just be the evidence. So
okay.
let's say that you, like I do these online courses and I get a certificate at the end, right? And you would upload the certificate. Say we had our equitable pedagogy modules. We've had 2 of them on campus in the last couple of years. If you did one of those, you got some sort of document at the end saying that you participated. So you would upload a copy of the document into this section, and then in your narrative you would mention it. Look at all the things I've done to stay current in the field, and then it would also be listed in your table of contents. So here's just the evidence in number 11, and you talk about it in the narrative.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, Charles, you still have your hand up. I thought maybe I skipped you if you still had a question. I don't know. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot to lower it.
That's fine. That's what I figured. Let me take a look. Are there any questions in the chat that I should respond to, Kelly?
I don't think so. I've been going through it. Let me see.
Okay. Okay, well, now's your chance. We still have some time. So if some of you had been trying to prepare your files and had a question about it, or, oh, I see there is something. Is that similar for number 12? Absolutely similar. The only time you're going to write any statement is where it says narrative. If it doesn't say narrative, then you're just putting the evidence there and you're going to talk about it in your narrative.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Dory.
How do we, I went to a meeting in my department where they mentioned if you're part-time lecturer, there's only certain, you don't have to do all 11. How do we find out which components we have to complete?
Yeah, okay, well, you do still have to do most of them, so there's not much savings.
Really? They told us it's only 4. So I only teach 2 units, and it's not even, it's for this department, clinical supervision.
Yeah, I don't know what they were saying. I mean, have you looked, do they have their own standards? Have you looked at to see on the list on that?
I'm mostly confused because it's the first day I'm spending time on it. But
Yeah.
can
Well,
you, that thing you just showed that with all the steps, is there a way to put it in the chat box so we can find it?
the tutorial?
Where you just were talking about number 11.
Oh yeah, okay. That is the policy. So can you put a link to that policy, please, Kelly, in the chat? Yeah.
Thank you.
So right now, the policy says that almost all of you are going to be putting all this stuff in your files. There's a few things here at the end, like number 12, if appropriate to the work assignment. If you're doing service or research and you're getting, if you were hired to do that as a part-time, faculty member, then you will be evaluated on that, but that will not be relevant to most of you. So I know that's some savings for most of you, but everything else is required. So I would suggest, Dory, going back and asking maybe someone who was running that meeting just to clarify.
Okay.
And then if necessary, let me know again and we can get to the bottom of it. But
All
I
right.
would say officially, you should just expect to do at least 1 through 11 here.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? People getting stuck? Raise your hand, or now just go ahead and speak out.
So basically it's just uploading all the things they're asking for, and then the one narrative, that's the only narrative that you're referencing all the other documents.
Let me share this and I'll show you. Where did it go? Okay. So the narrative, there's one main narrative, which is this number 5.
Yeah, I found that. I got that.
Yeah, but there's also, you have an opportunity to add an extra 500 words for 3 different conditions that may apply to you.
Okay.
The first, so if is
Yeah,
this
I
the
don't have
first
those
time?
commissions.
Okay,
Or
yeah, then you
something.
won't add. It'll be limited to the 1,500 words.
Yeah.
But for
Like,
people,
for example, they said for number 7, we just put no data because the course has less than the required number of students to get data. So we just put no data.
yeah, and you might want to mention that in your narrative, just so it's clear to the reviewers,
Oh,
so
okay.
they don't think you forgot to add something.
All right.
Yeah.
Could you go back up?
Mhm.
Oh, up a little more, please.
Mhm.
For summary of assigned duties, do we just copy take a screenshot of what we're assigned?
If there's one place that has your assignments, then you can do that. That has all of them. Most people build their own separate table.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, and they just
Well, it's
list.
just listed,
It's just a list.
course.
Yeah. Okay. If that captures everything, just make sure it has the number of students.
Because when I opened that tab, it didn't have, it looked like I had to attach something. I didn't see a place to type it in.
You would have to type it into like a Word document.
Oh,
and then upload it.
Okay. I just
Yeah.
took a screenshot, so I'll
Yeah,
save.
really, you're not going to be typing things directly into Interfolio.
Except the narrative. Oh, the narrative
Even
is.
the narrative, you're going to type in
Okay.
a Word document and upload.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you recommend just saving all of this in a file and then just uploading it, or using that dossier?
Absolutely.
that told me
I
I had-
recommend, absolutely recommend using, having all this prepared on your machine, your computer, or in your cloud storage, whatever you use,
Yeah.
organized by number. So everything you're going to put in, say for number 10, additional evidence, have its own folder on your machine. So when you go to assemble your Interfolio case, you just upload everything in that folder and give it the
So just
titles that you
stuff
want and everything. Yeah. And
that we
that's,
might keep in our applications, like I'm in the education department, so I just keep all that stuff usually, like.
oh yeah, so you would just take some of those, make copies and organize
like
them.
my certificates and credentials and stuff.
Yeah, that would probably go in the currency, sounds like. And then just to plug again, we created the files organizers for you. It automatically will create folders on your computer with a folder for each of these categories. So you can just
But where's
drop your,
that? Where's that?
I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to go back to our website. They should have been attached to the email that you got from us, notifying you of a review. So you can always check there, and they were attached as attachments. Whoops, let me go to the website.
I put in the chat the section summary, just the Interfolio section summary little
Oh yeah, okay.
page we made.
So everybody should see that in the chat, something called the section summary, which describes the different sections and what you would put in there. And then I'm gonna
I'm also gonna put the quick steps just so everyone has.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
We have different we have a lot of different documents all designed to help you. It's just
Oh, I
for
see.
you to find it. I'm trying to get the that's the wrong one. Let me bring up the website real fast so you can see the other thing I want to show you. Okay. I think I'm sharing something else. Oh, here we go.
Thank you. That's helpful because I was able to just look this.
Okay, so I'm back on our website, and if you go to evaluations for faculty, and then we have the part-time lecture reviews. So go to the part-time lecture evaluation specific site. Down in the bottom right, we have this block called files organizers, and there's one for each type of review.
Oh, okay.
And when you download this and unzip it on your machine, it'll create a folder for each of those different categories. So you can just throw in your documents and organize them on your machine.
Okay. Where would I save that on my computer?
You can save it anywhere. I don't know if is it showing what I just did? Can you see the dialog?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just save it here. So it's a zip file, and I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to try and open that so you can see what it looks like. Give me a second. Okay. I'm going to share this other screen. So down at the bottom here,
Annual reviews.
It says annual review. So this is for the person getting the annual review. If I double click on that, it's going to be different on different people's machines, how you unzip it. But I gotta reveal the little, you just follow the steps.
This is just a helpful organizer. We don't have to save it on here, right? We can save it on.
You can do whatever you want with this. It's really just for you. And so I'm unzipping that, and then I'm going to go back. And you can see here, it created a folder called Annual Review 23-24.
Okay.
And then when I open that, it has a separate subfolder for each of the 12
are you able to
sections.
put that in the chat box? That zip drive? Are you able to?
Can you put, is it the annual review one you want?
For part-time, this one.
Do you know what type of review you have? Is this your first evaluation?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the annual review. Is that possible, Kelly, to put that in there?
I'll try. I've never tried a zip before, but yeah, let me.
And so just so everyone else can see, there's a subfolder for every section.
What was the approved DSLF?
That's if you have department specific standards that you have to follow, like the ones we looked at for art.
Okay.
So, well, I wanted to open this one, number 11, currency in the field.
Oh, thank you. Great.
If you open it, it'll just be pretty empty. It has a text file that describes what goes in here. But then this is where you would drop like your certificates of your workshops or your licenses that you got renewed, or your professional development, or whatever it was related to currency in the field. You could put it all in there to organize it. We have one for additional evidence of teaching. You would put all your copies of all your evidence in here. And then when you go to build your portfolio, everything's already pre-organized.
Yeah.
So you could load it in chunks.
That's really helpful.
And then we have instructions, and we have the quick steps, and we have the section summary, which the two things Kelly already put into the the chat. So those are also in the.
Oh, yeah, that worked really well. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think they want to look at, like, I teach at 2 other universities, I actually teach more there. Do you think they want to, can we add that if we're doing it currently?
Well, I as I said before, I don't want to say no to anything. You should put in what you think is relevant and build your best possible case. Your goal is to get satisfactory or higher. That's kind of the target for getting a new contract as you go forward. I would say normally, no, people don't put in evidence related to teaching at other institutions, but I could imagine that there would be something relevant. Let's say you took a teaching workshop at another institution that improved your teaching. That could certainly be relevant to your professional development here. So that would be something you might consider putting in. But generally speaking, in terms of courses, the reviewers are instructed to review your course performance here and not at other places.
All righty. Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else come up with some questions?
Yes, hi, Mark.
Hi.
I'm Keisha Brown. I had a question just from the zip file. So, okay, so you showed the zip file. Thank you very much for putting that in the chat. So is that something that I put in my dossier? Is that what that file is for?
No,
Like,
it's really
I
just
ask for my own records and then I just pull from it as I build my Interfolio?
It's for you to use and to pull from it and to put in Interfolio, but it won't load well into Dossier.
Okay, so it's just for your computer as a
It's just for your computer, or it works in Dropbox. You could copy it all into your Dropbox so you can access it from different computers. But yeah.
Thank you.
Dossier is very limited in folders and subfolders and things like that. So that's why I wouldn't recommend trying to put it in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there a question? Is there a hand on Pauline? Or is that Pauline Knox? You have your hand up?
No, I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's my cursor. Sorry,
It's
Pauline.
your cursor.
My cursor was over you. I got confused.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right.
I had a question. One more. Has anything changed since last year for the part-time faculty?
No.
No. Okay.
Everything's identical, except for we've provided these files organizers.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
There will be, as I said, there's a very good chance there'll be changes for next year's review cycle. Okay. Anything else, anyone? All right. Well, thanks for attending. Good luck in your assembling your files and good luck in your evaluations. You have the resources, the tutorials, our website, and if all else fails, you have the Interfolio contacts and then us as well. We respond best on email. By the way, we're checking our emails all day long, so that's our preferred mode of connection. All right, I'll see you all later.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And that recording of this is coming to whatever email was registered for this webinar?
No, we'll probably just post it on our website, so check back in a couple days.
Will do. Appreciate you so much.